Hi, in this tutorial I'll tell you about Sample Modeling Viola virtual instrument. To start, please select the proper default instrument preset. It depends on what kind of MIDI controllers you use: breath controller, wind controller, or a keyboard. I select keyboard. When you begin playing, you may receive this warning message reminding you that an expression controller is absolutely necessary for the proper functioning of the instrument. By default, the expression control is set to CC11 if in keyboard mode and to CC2 if in wind controller mode. You can manually change it and set the expression to CC7 if you, for example, use a volume pedal for this purpose. Automatic assignment is also possible. Just activate this Learn button. Then the instrument recognizes the first incoming CC number and automatically assigns it to the expression setting. Here you can choose between main instrument timbres or the viola. Here you can choose how to play, using a bow, pizzicato, or collegno. Select the way the expression is executed for the bow behavior. In the expression mode, expression is interpreted as the speed of the bow. This is the most traditional way to control the dynamics of an instrument. Auto bow change occurs when expression is set to 0 for a while, only in case if the expression MIDI CC minimum value is set to 0. Please note that only this one gesture mode is suitable for the breath and wind controllers. When it is set to bipolar, values below 63 are interpreted as down bow, while values over 63 are interpreted as up bow. Auto bow change occurs when expression crosses value 63. Bowing. In this mode, you can imitate the bow movements using your expression controller. The speed is proportional to the speed of the controller change. In addition to the usual expression control, string instruments also have the bow pressure control. Lowest values produce a flautando sound. Highest values produce a scratchy sound. Here you can control distance of the bow finger from the bridge. This parameter influences the character of the sound as the real instrument does. With this controller, you can change the color of the pizzicato plug. This button activates concertino timbre. Using this button, you can select the polyphony. As in the real instrument, a maximum of 2 simultaneous notes can be performed. In real mono mode, the instrument is monophonic. Legato or portamento is achieved overlapping 2 notes. If the legato or portamento involves 2 adjacent strings, the release of the starting note is stopped during the legato. When in mono state, the instrument is monophonic. Legato or portamento is achieved overlapping 2 notes. If the legato or portamento involves 2 adjacent strings, the release of the starting note is not stopped during the legato transition. When in double state, 2 simultaneous notes can be performed. Legato and portamento is not possible. The 2 selected notes are always on adjacent strings. Play one of the notes a little bit later to lead its sound, while changing notes in the other voice. When in double hold state, 2 simultaneous notes can be performed. Legato and portamento is also possible. The 2 selected notes are always on adjacent strings. Play one of the notes a little bit earlier to leave its sound while changing note in the other voice. The preferred pair of strings is selected using this controller. It is assignable to MIDI CC or by the key switches. When in auto state, two simultaneous notes can be performed on staccato. The first single note played turns the polyphony to mono. Legato and portamento are also possible for two simultaneous notes. An additional latency is added to the attack in order to detect the double or mono mode. It is possible to change the detection time acting on this controller. This button selects the position of the left hand on the fingerboard. When in middle state, left hand stays in the middle of the neck. When it is set to bridge, left hand stays in high position towards the bridge. In this state, left hand stays near the nut playing in low position. It is possible to play open strings in this mode. Vibrato is not possible on open strings. Choose whether the bow is on the string or off the string. This may slightly influence the attack and release of a note. Select the bow direction of the staccato stroke. Here you can choose how to control the attack of the note. Velocity controls attack strength with the soft attack. Velocity controls attack strength with the hard attack. Expression controls attack shape. When it is set to mix, the attack strength is controlled by both the velocity and the initial expression. Also, envelope attack speed controller changes the character of the attack. With this button, you can choose how to control the portamento time using velocity or MIDI CC, mapped here. This button triggers the overtone generation states. No overtones. First overtone 1 octave higher. Second overtone 1 octave and the fifth higher. With this button you can trigger the tremolo modes. No tremolo. Slow tremolo. And fast tremolo. Here you can change string and bow characteristics. Stickness is amount of stickness between the bow and the string. Here you can control the amount of noise produced by the bow rubbing the string. Here you can control amount of resonance of a string and all open strings. Let's go through the options page. Expression curve, remapping of the input expression CC values. This controls the steepness of the attacks. This one controls how the sustain pedal acts on the note off messages. The note is sustained by the pedal, as usual. A short accent is performed in the end of the note. Adds a fader release. Sustain latch. When set to on, the sustain pedal is in latch mode. So the sustain status is changed every time the CC reaches 0. You can remap MIDI CC here. This controls both the portamento speed and the threshold between portamento and legato. Sets the split point when a portamento crosses two strings. This is a speed controller of the vibrato in Hertz. This is amount of randomness of the vibrato. fading, time for the vibrato at each time note on, amount of randomness of the bow pressure and speed, amount of randomness of the pitch achieved by the left-hand finger position. With this one, you can control the shape of the expression during short time of the legato transitions. Interactive bow pressure controls the amount of correction of the bow pressure to maintain a good vibrating sound. This controls the amount of interference between the string and the fingerboard during the pizzicato. This one selects the pen behavior of the instrument. Dynamic 1 and Dynamic 2 mimics little movements of the player with the different intensities, and pen doesn't affect the reverb. Acoustic. The player is static, and pen doesn't affect the reverb. Balance. The player is static, and pen affects both the instrument and the reverb. This is a tremolo rate controller. Select the tremolo rate behavior. In hertz, the tremolo rate is not synchronized with the project tempo. Sync. The tremolo rate is synchronized with the project tempo. Custom accents can be performed acting on expression controller. Synchronized with accent. The tremolo rate is synchronized with the project tempo, and an accent is performed every 4 or 3 strokes depending on the chosen tremolo rate. This sets the behavior of the C-sharp keyswitch. A bow change is performed on both note on and note off. The velocity of the keyswitch is ignored. The bow change is performed just on note on. Velocity of the keyswitch influences the accent of the bow stroke. Here you can set the preferred pair of strings for B chords. This sets how the keyswitch behave. The keyswitch status is selected by quickly triggering the keyswitch for a number of times, corresponding to the position of the status to select. For example, press the C key 1 time for bow, 2 times for pizzicato, and 3 times for collegno. Velocity. A keyswitch status is selected in function of note on velocity on the keyswitch. Please refer to the Keyswitch chart in user manual for details. This is a velocity response remapping for the keyswitches, when the keyswitches mode is set to velocity. This is a keyswitch octave transposition. Default position 1 octave lower, and the keyswitches are not available. When this controller is set to on, you can trigger note on and note off with the expression controller. This is a very important feature when playing a breath controller. This one controls the responsiveness of the attack steepness when expression trigger mode is active. This sets the look-ahead time for the detection of B chords when polyphony is set to auto. Tuning of the lowest string followed by the tuning of the other strings. As in real instrument, the tuning of the other strings can be set only a 4th or a 5th higher than the adjacent lower string. All the main parameters of the instrument are assignable to respond to MIDI CC messages, so they can be controlled in real time from a MIDI controller or from a MIDI sequence in a digital audio workstation. It is also possible to assign the same MIDI CC to more than one parameter. In addition, it is possible to act on these controllers to rescale the input MIDI values. Please keep in mind that the key to expressiveness and realism is a proper use of dynamics. Always monitor the expression value on this main display and adjust the dynamics accordingly. Thank you for watching this video. For further information, please refer to the user manual.